It's not in the cards for you. I'm pretty good at insults, and I got the internet and a lot of free time.
Christians, does Matthew 19:21 not say, sell your possessions and give to the poor, because your reward is great in heaven? Well, okay. I see how you are. Y'all got girlfriends. How do you help me? And my Cash App, again, is $King Daddy Telomerase. I would date a Christian, I suppose, but I know the Bible very well. At least compared to most of them. Maybe not a theologian, but I knew enough of it to where I could argue my points against greed, because doesn't it say in Luke 12:15 to be on your guard against all kinds of greed? Well, okay, my Cash App is $King Daddy Telomerase, and your boyfriend has a car that I can't afford. That means, according to your beliefs, you and your boyfriend are going to hell. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no way out. You've broken the commandments of God. Haven't you? Here's something that liberals never talk about, but leftists do. Wealth capping. It's perfectly reasonable to expect that you could be happy with $5 million, except that there's all these people with billions of dollars. There's, in many cases, hundreds of billions of dollars that are very close to becoming trillionaires while people suffer. Our education is low, our health is low, our infrastructure programs are low, our happiness is low. All these things are low for an industrial nation like the United States. Meanwhile, Europe taxes people that make more money a heavier amount. The middle class pay less in taxes than the rich percentage-wise, and the poor barely pay anything at all. Here in the United States, it's the exact opposite. When you're poor, you pay more in taxes. When you're middle class, you pay more in taxes. And then when you're a millionaire, you pay more in taxes than the billionaires pay in taxes, percentage-wise. That's what we need. We need wealth capping. We need goods wealth capping too, to where they're like, we're only going to afford these goods to you at a certain price, and if our wages don't go up, then our prices on goods don't go up. The government needs to step in and say, listen, assholes, you've made enough money. Now it's time for a different CEO to come in. Listen, assholes, idiots. This is a recipe for revolution when people have more money than they know what to do with, when $5 million would be plenty to live on if everybody was capped at $5 million. Liberals are so fucking mean. They just don't understand things. They'll say things like, yeah, of course we need to house the homeless. And they'll support legislation to build more homes for the homeless, never minding the fact that there are vacant homes available that the banks could give to the homeless if the government stepped in and said, look, we're taking those repossessed homes and then we house the homeless in them. But they got this NIMBYism, not in my backyard. You know, they want things done, but heaven forbid that they live next to a formerly homeless person that's trying to kick heroin with Suboxone or something like that. Or they go to the methadone clinic. They're like, oh, that's a shame. We really should do something for them. But heaven forbid they live in my neighborhood, then there's problems. What are the Democrats now asking for impeachment of Trump? Why are they not demanding that? You know, today he said he was exploring a way to have a third term. You idiots realize that that's against the 22nd Amendment. So why aren't you doing anything, you friggin' cowards? Liberal chicks really are mean. I was in a group chat once that I've been in for 3 years, and I'm still in it. Well, I left the other day, but recently there's been a lot of stuff that has become very ageist to me in the group chat, and they don't respect my opinion, so I just leave. One of my opinions I had is that liberal chicks are mean, and they're kind of for that line of thought because they're socialists like I am, and communists and anarchists. So I said that liberal chicks were mean because of this one chick from the Green Party that said I was too fat to date. Meanwhile, this chick was like 200 pounds. Liberals really got to do better. Liberal women are mean. They'll clap their hands with me with Bernie Sanders on stage, but their boyfriends have the same amount of money as them or more. It says fight oligarchy. He's against the plutocrats. But meanwhile, according to you, I'm just a pleb in your mind, proletariat. But your boyfriend is bourgeoisie, so you'll date him, even a petite bourgeoisie. He's got the car. I don't have enough money for a car. You see what I'm saying? Conservative women, stupid. Liberal women, mean. Republican women are stupid. I could be like, hey, honey, they repealed the 19th Amendment. And you'd be like, yay, baby. Quality Gen Z women are easy to find if you've got a little money in hand, which I don't. Taverns, where they specialize in maybe one specific kind of drink like whiskey, beer, or martinis. Upscale grocery stores, where they're a little more pricey than the average grocery store, but you'll find a bunch of them looking for stuff. Upscale gyms, like maybe Move Fitness, where it's clean, not the YMCA, where it seems a little dingy. And mention something that she's doing, but mention it in the form of a question. Liberals say things like, you don't like relish on your hot dog? What the hell's the matter with you? You're mental. Conservatives say things like, you like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and want her to be president? You're gay. Liberals. Even when I loved you, you hated me. Even when I hate you, you hate me. I didn't ask for your Republican opinion. I didn't ask for your opinion, especially if you're a Trumpanzee. Liberals are like a church of the one true opinion when it comes to things that are non-political. You know what I mean? Like, I have an opinion that I like my ketchup to be put on fries rather than to dip into the fries into. But they're like, oh, I'm wrong if you disagree with me. Instead of just saying, oh, that's a different opinion. You're like, oh, you're wrong. Shut the fuck up. There are people that won't date me because I'm an atheist. These ladies, they think that I'm Satan, even though they voted for Trump, a man who embodies all 7 deadly sins. And no, I don't identify with Satan, some invisible ground troll made of fire, any more than I identify with the genocidal invisible space wizard you call God. There are women who identify with the Occupy movement, Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, that won't date me because I'm too poor. What you do after redistributing all the wealth in America to all American citizens, which would be $375,000 apiece, is you set up a law to where you can only have so much money, like maybe $5 million. After that, you're cut off. And there should also be laws that say you can only raise the prices on things for your business if you raise the salary for those people. You would also need a block captain under a direct democracy, so every street has a captain, and then each neighborhood has a captain, and each city has a captain, and it goes up there exponentially until you have all the positions filled. You do that to the planetary level. You do that whole thing of block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, city by city, county by county, state by state, region by region, country by country, and then the entire planet. But you're building from the bottom up instead of from the top down, this plutocratic oligarchy that we live under. We need to be against all authoritarian forms of government, including capitalism and communism. That shit just needs to go the fuck away until you have anarcho-communism or smart principles. Because it's not smart to have a bunch of billionaires becoming trillionaires. You know what I mean? All the people get screwed over. They just raise prices on everything. If everybody had the same amount of money, then you could keep prices low. If you raised them to a certain level, then the employees would have to have the benefit of that. You can call that socialism all you want, and I'm not going to shy away from that label. But really, it's just smart business sense. There are women who say they won't date me because I have no personality, while only dating guys that are white and act black. There are women who have told me that they'd date me if I were just shredded muscular, while they clap like seals for Lizzo, who makes me look like a featherweight. Matter and energy can neither be created nor destroyed, so that erases a need for a creator, which means there is no God. Logic, yes, it really works that way. I have a question for straight people, and I have a question for queer people. Being that the foundation of science is asking questions, and science yields all truth, I feel justified in asking these questions. My first question is for straight conservatives. If you're afraid of gay characters in fictional literature for children existing because you think it'll turn the kids gay, why haven't straight characters turned those gay kids straight? A question for the queer community. If you had a trans sports league, would you separate between trans women and trans men? Or would they just be all in the same league? And if the answer is no, do you see how putting trans women on women's sports teams violates Title IX? Let's play a quick game of Adolf Hitler or Donald Trump. Ready? Deportations, tariffs, cutting essential programs for its citizens, ignoring federal judges. Well, I'm sorry, that was a trick question because it's both. The United States is in control of $127.6 trillion. If that wealth was redistributed equally among all American citizens, which is about 340 million people, everyone would have about $375,000, and the prices on things, since we'd all be the same economic class, would come down tremendously. At least 10 Republicans dominated by Trump have been accused of having sex with children, Trump is cutting services to Americans like the Forestry Service and Social Security, and the grocery store prices and the gasoline prices are going up when Trump promised they would go down. And he's also working with Russia secretly that we all know about, so it's not much of a secret. Where the fuck are the Democrats, though? They're not calling for impeachment. They're not calling out treason. No, they're just kowtowing and bowing down to Trump, which is exactly what happened during Hitler's reign. The liberals got all scared. Oh, we're afraid. Oh, whatever. Grow the fuck up and impeach this motherfucking treasonous child molester supporting asshole. And Trump has sex with kids too. You dumb motherfuckers. Plenty of Democrats and left-wing people want to have children. Saying that being pro-natalism is Republican is woefully ignorant, woefully stupid, and you know this, you're just trying to piss me off. I don't care if you want to have children. I don't care if you don't want to have children. It doesn't really matter to me. Saying that you're a Republican for wanting to have children is retarded. You're a retard. Or you just won't stop running your dumb mouth because you're a fucking idiot. Whichever one it is, your brain's all fucked up. You're there saying, oh, Democrats don't want to have children because it's a Republican thing to want to... Just shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Shut the fuck up. To me, it's funny how Christians will bash Muslims because Muhammad was a pedophile that slept with a 9-year-old girl named Aaliyah, while at the same time Joseph was 30 years old having sex with a 12-year-old Mary when she was raising Jesus. Both religions need to go. As a matter of fact, all religion needs to go the fuck away. You talk about this whole thing of, oh, you hate chomos, but then you elect the chomo in the White House. Trump, you fucking hypocrite Republicans. And then you Democrats just worship another pedophile while bashing another pedophile. It makes zero sense to me. It's not accurate to call the lower 99% of people who have possession to call us slaves. There's no whips, there's no chains, and we do have a little bit of money. It's more accurate to call us peasants because the wealth divide is like 1,000 times greater than during the Middle Ages between the richest and the poorest. We're not slaves, we're peasants or serfs. Muck serfs, really. Where are all the Democrats angry at trickle-down economics that led to the Republicans being in power? You don't see it anymore. 45 years ago, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting the broadside of a barn because all the Democrats were against Reaganomics, trickle-down economics, supply-side economics, whatever you want to call it, where they give rich people more money, lying to the American people that those people are going to spend money rather than hoard that money in banks. And they don't spend. They just accumulate more mass. And now we have 5 billionaires that are very close to becoming trillionaires within the next 10 to 20 years. And some of them are liberals, like Warren Buffett, but you don't see this concern anymore. It's like the Democrats just shut up because they got rich off the system. Democrats are always trying to extend this olive branch to Republicans, like, well, our friends, the Republicans, that the Republicans don't reciprocate because what they say is, you know, it'd be a good idea is if we just killed off the liberals and the left wing. Democrats like to rest on their laurels of what they did in the past, their past achievements, like, oh, look at what we did for the rights of gay people, the rights of black people, the rights of Latinos, the rights of women. Yeah, that's great, but what we're talking about is getting rid of the Electoral College because that was all formed for states' rights during slavery, and it's not necessary anymore. And also the money and power, the fact that the rich people don't pay a higher percentage than the middle class and the poor needs to be addressed. and the fact that super PACs exist to fund millionaire politicians getting into office more often. We don't need that shit. That's what we need to talk about. We need to talk about what the base is talking about. The Republicans will listen to their base, like, oh, let's build a wall, let's deport all the Mexicans, let's get rid of all the Arabs and deport them too. They listen to their base, and then they do what their base wants. The Democrats like to rest on what they formerly did. They're not talking about the money and power like Bernie Sanders and AOC are, because those aren't the mainstream Democrats. The mainstream Democrats are like, oh, the Republicans are bad guys, and that's right. The Democrats let them be bad guys by getting more money for corporations and the banks, just like the Republicans did with NAFTA and everything else also that we need to be concerned about. The fact that there are many, many vacant homes and enough homeless people to fill them and have many, many times more vacant homes left over. But we just don't house the homeless. We put them in shelters, which just causes more crime. I don't understand why I would be a Democrat, because the Democrats don't talk about anything that the liberal and leftist base wants to talk about. The protests? Yeah, okay, but when's the right wing ever listened to a protest? Maybe go to some more rallies for Bernie Sanders pumping up AOC, because at least AOC knows what's going on a little bit. My point of contention, though, with her is she doesn't say anything about Palestinian people being genocided to death. And I'm not for Hamas, and I'm not for Netanyahu. None of us are. You need to wake the fuck up and realize that we're not for that. We're not for conservative governments like Netanyahu and the guy who leads Hamas that's comfortable in Qatar while his people are dying in Palestine. I don't understand any of that shit. The Democrats really need to start listening to their left-wing base like the Republicans listen to their right-wing base. Otherwise, they're not going to get elected. You're going to have the House and Senate and the presidential branch, the executive branch occupied by Republicans, which is what's happening in 2025. They're just going out that Project 2025 playbook that we warned you about, and the Democrats are just wringing their hands like, oh, this is bad. Oh, this is bad, but it's going to get better because of us. Well, do something that the base wants you to do. Talk about the things that we talk about. On the one hand, you have these Trumpanzee idiots who don't want anything taught that has to do with anything being gay, including kids, or the fact that Josh over there might have two moms, despite the fact that Joseph was 30 years old and impregnated a 12-year-old girl named Mary to create Jesus, or whatever the story is. But, if you teach gay kids that straight people exist, they think that'll turn the kids straight. You know what I mean? Like you pump this propaganda that everyone is straight. Eventually, all the gay people are going to become straight. Well, that never happened. So they're basically just a cult. And then you have these libtard homosexuals that are like, don't knock it unless you try it. Especially among trans people, where it's like, don't knock it unless you try it. I'm not knocking it, sister. I'm just telling you I'm not going to try it. You know what I mean? Because I'm not gay. You can't force that on people. It's like communism forcing atheism on people. What you got to do is force critical thinking on people and questioning authority, and then they'll probably become atheists, which you're worried about because you have your own religious reasons that don't make any sense, because atheists are usually some of the nicest, most generous people you'll ever meet, unless you actually took the time to meet them. But both these libtard and Trumpanzee cults are like guided by religion and are themselves cults. Oh, you don't sleep with a trans person, you're a bigot. Oh, if you teach kids that no gay people exist, you're not a bigot. I don't really understand. It's just a bunch of cult behavior on both sides. You say you don't like my atheist posts, but you think that I have no leg to stand on because you don't know what caused the Big Bang. The fact of the matter is that nobody knows what caused the Big Bang. A quantum fluctuation that moves backwards in time, perhaps? We know that it's possible. Space-time itself is stretching 6.42 times the speed of light at the furthest megaparsecs. 93 billion light years away. I did the math. So if it's stretching faster than the speed of light, wouldn't it, according to general relativity, be stretching backwards in time? So it's not a universe from nothing. What constituent parts did God use to create the universe? A painting had to have constituent parts to be a painting, such as canvas and paint. A house had to have constituent parts like nail and wood. A car had to have constituent parts such as metal and plastic. What constituent parts did God use to create the universe? Nothing? But don't you see that that's a problem for you? Because didn't you just say that it's impossible for the universe to be created from nothing? Which I just demonstrated, it's not the fact. The Big Crunch causes the Big Bang. You see, you're taught all this bullshit, like that women are more empathic than men, when it's probably equal. I mean, it's not like they're dating dudes under their economic class or poor guys at all. That's not very empathic. When it was dudes that had this whole system set up of economic division and war, when we teach people that men are more cognitive, it doesn't, no. With these leagues and alpha, beta, males and females or whatever it is, it's all like a religion. It's all like a cult behavior that needs to end. Libtards are all clap and clamor for dad bods and an end of weightism, but won't date heavier dudes because they think these standards should apply to somebody else, like fat chicks. Fat chicks should date heavier dudes, but not them. You see what I mean? It's like they're a cult. They think that their standards should apply to everybody but them, like religion does. You get all these dumb Trumpanzees now. They're like, they're even the Republicans don't like them. Like, there's a lot of Republicans that don't like Trump. And they claim that Biden was the worst president of all time when he had the strongest jobs record in 50 years and the strongest economy in the 249-year history of the United States. But no, he was the worst president of all time. What about Reagan? What about Nixon? What about Trump? Of course, they don't see that because they want their racist fucking bad economics to go through and to crash the economy so it only benefits the billionaires. They don't fucking care about any of that shit because they don't know anything. They get their news from Fox, which was sued for $800 million for not being a news source, for being an entertainment channel. And then you have like the Trump people in this cult because, you know, Trump can do no wrong according to Newsmax. And then you have like these chat groups where they're displaying war plans out in the open and they invite journalists in. The Trumpanzees, the fucking maggots, they're retards. Welcome to the program. I'm a socialist. I'm not a libtard or a Republican. I don't care how you come up to me. If you come up to me all acerbic, that's fine. I'm not some sort of classist that's going to edit your language or tell you what not to do unless you're in my territory. And then it might be a problem, especially if you're gaslighting me or displaying violent behavior. Then kibosh with you. I don't want anything to do with you anymore.
As an older guy interested in younger males and a libtard or whatever you want to call me,